Good morning, I'm WaywornWyrm, and welcome to my channel. And welcome to the next episode of the Monster Manual Backward. Today, we're going to be talking about the deer, the elk, the goat, as well as the giant versions of elks and goats. Unfortunately, there is no giant deer in Appendix A. So, let's jump right into it with the deer. The deer is a medium beast unaligned, armor class 13, 1d8 hit points, and a speed of 50 feet. It's a strength of 11, 16 dexterity, 11 con, 2 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 5 charisma. It's a passive perception of 12, no languages, challenge rating 0. Its only action is bite, which is a melee weapon attack, plus 2 to hit, reach of 5 feet, 1 target, and on a hit it does 1d4 piercing damage. So, the first thing I would do with this is, it wouldn't be a bite. I would have it be either a kick, or an attack with its antlers. Probably the antlers, because they're, that's what deer use in real life. Again, this is one of those creatures that I don't think I would actually use. I don't know if I'd ever give stats to, unless wild shape or polymorph or something like that, just because at level 1, a level 1 character going mono to a deer, then that could be a fight that's worth watching. Other than that, no, it's not. The party would win really, really quickly. And if it was more than one, if it was like 2 level 3 characters, I would just go, okay, and then roll a d4 and split it between the 2 of them and say you kill it, you take, a point or 2 of damage each. And that's it. It's not worth it. Other than that, there really isn't much to say about the deer. I'm kind of disappointed because there is no giant deer or anything like that. We're going to move on to elk here in a second. But the deer just really underwhelms me. Yeah. So let's move on to the elk. And the elk is a large beast that is unaligned. It has an armor class of 10, 2d10 plus 2 hit points, speed of 50 feet, 16 strength, 10 dexterity, 12 constitution, 2 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 6 charisma. Passive perception of 10, no languages, challenge rating 1/4. And it has the ability charge. If the elk moves at least 20 feet straight toward the target and hits with a ram attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 2d6 damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 13 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Its actions are ram, a melee weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, reach of 5 feet, 1 target, and on a hit it does 1d6 plus 3 bludgeoning. And a hoof attack, which is a melee weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, reach of 5 feet, 1 prone creature. And on a hit it does 2d4 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. This is more like it. Although, I would probably change the ram to piercing damage, and say that the actual damage comes from being gored by the antlers. I don't really like the hoof attack because I can't, since it doesn't have multi-attack, I can't see when it would ever have a chance to use it. So what you might want to do is, give it a multi-attack, allow it to charge, ram, and if on the charge the creature is knocked prone, then it makes a hoof attack. Because I have never had a character choose to stay prone. They're always going to use half of their movement to get up. So, yeah. But the elk is what I would like to see from the deer. The deer is incredibly underwhelming. The elk is still underwhelming, but a lot less so. Again, this is something I would generally only use for like a polymorph or a wild shape. But it's a statted creature that's not completely useless. I think the deer is pretty close to completely useless. Yeah. That being said, let's go on to the giant elk. The giant elk is a huge beast, unaligned, armor class 14, 5d12 plus 10 hit points, and a speed of 60 feet. It has 19 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 7 intelligence, which makes it a very, very intelligent creature. There are stupid humans that are stupider than a giant elk. 14 wisdom, 10 charisma. It has +4 to perception, and has a passive perception of 14. It speaks giant elk, understands common, elvish, and sylvan, but cannot speak them. Challenge rating of 2. Charge. If the giant elk moves at least 20 feet straight towards the target, then hits it with a ram attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 2d6 damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 14 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. It has a ram attack, which is a melee weapon attack, +6 to hit, a reach of 10 feet, one target, and on a hit it does 2d6 plus 4 bludgeoning. And then the hoof attack, melee weapon attack, +6 to hit, reach of 5 feet, one prone creature. And on a hit it does 48 plus 4 bludgeoning. The majestic giant elk is rare to the point that its appearance is often taken as a foreshadowing of an important event, such as the birth of a king. Legends tell of gods that take the form of giant elk when visiting the material plane. Many cultures therefore believe that to hunt these creatures is to invite divine wrath. That's really fun, but I don't actually like any of it. And by any of it, I mean the whole fluff. What I would use that for is like the Wood Elf King rides a giant elk into battle, and his giant elk is sentient and advises him through the battle. I have some of the same problems with the giant elk as I do with the normal elk, specifically the ram attack. Especially because this one has a reach of 10 feet. That's definitely the antlers. There's nothing else it could be, and yet it is bludgeoning. I know I'm making a big deal about this, and a counter to that is, well, you're never going to find a creature that has resistance to just piercing but not bludgeoning, or just bludgeoning but not piercing. and you're gonna find things that have either resistance or vulnerability or immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, which, to my knowledge, is true. I still would rather I'd still have it. I'd rather it be piercing. I also think it's weird that its charge attack does the exact same amount of damage as the elk, and the DC is only 1 higher. But the armor class is higher, the hit points are a lot higher, the speed is higher. I don't know if I would consider all of the differences to be 1 3/4 challenge rating higher. The hoof attack is now much better than the ram attack. However, again, since it doesn't have a multi-attack, when is it going to have a chance to use that against a prone creature? Yeah, because it has to charge in and do the ram attack on turn 1. Hope that the target fails the not super high strength DC, and then for some reason decides to not get back up on their turn, despite it being 100% in their interest to get up. Unless there's a whole bunch of, archers or something. Which, if there's a whole bunch of archers, they're your concern, not the giant elk. Yeah, I don't see it being very useful unless you've got, I guess if you've got several elk, one can do the ram attack, and then the others can all mob in and do hoof attacks. And the giant elk is definitely smart enough to do that. Your players are not going to like it, and it feels kind of cheap. So, yeah, that's kind of... The giant elk is better than the elk, which is better than the deer. I'm still not super impressed with any of them. Although I really do like the idea of the Wood Elf King riding a giant elk into battle. Everyone going, holy shit, he has a giant elk. And, make a big deal about that. So, that is what I have to say about a giant elk. Let us move on, then, to the goat. Goats are medium beasts that are unaligned, with an armor class of 10, 1d8 hit points, speed of 40 feet, 12 strength, 10 dexterity, 11 constitution, 2 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 5 charisma. They have a passive perception of 10, no languages, challenge rating 0. They have 2 abilities. They have a charge. If the goat moves at least 20 feet straight towards a target and then hits with a ram attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 1d4 bludgeoning damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 10 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. It also has the ability of sure-footed. The goat has advantage on strength and dexterity saving throws made against effects that would knock it prone. And its action is ram. Melee weapon attack +3, reach of 5 feet, 1 target, and on a hit it does 1d4 plus 1 bludgeoning. I like this. Or at least, this is my favorite stat block we've gone through so far today. I think I'm going to like the giant goat the most, which will just mean as we've gone through the articles, I've liked every one more than the last. Charge feels like it fits. Ram, I am perfectly fine with goat ramming doing bludgeoning damage. And it doesn't have if it succeeds on a ram, then its next turn, if the person doesn't get up, it still, it has a special attack it can do. There's none of that. I think I think the goat is just a better thought through stat block. Would I really use it? Probably not. For the same reason I wouldn't use most of Appendix A. You would very rarely need it, and when you did, it's easier to just not play through the combat and just tell the party that they won, and maybe make a couple of them take a point or two of damage. Yeah. But again, it's good to know because maybe sometime you'll need it. There's always Wild Shape, there's always Polymorph. Like most of Appendix A, not all of it, mind you, but most of it, these stat blocks are good to have, but you will almost never pull them out. So let's go on and end the episode with Giant Goats. So the Giant Goat is a large beast, unaligned, with 3d10 plus 3 hit points, 11 armor class, speed of 40 feet, strength of 17, dexterity of 11, constitution of 12, intelligence of 3, which makes it sentient, although dumb as shit. Wisdom of 12, charisma of 6. It has a passive perception of 11, speaks no languages, challenge rating of 1/2. As a charge, if the goat moves at least 20 feet straight forward toward a target and then hits it with a ram attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 2d4 bludgeoning damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 13 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Also has sure-footed. The goat has advantage on strength and dexterity saving throws made against effects that would knock it prone. It's a ram attack, which is a melee weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, reach of 5 feet, 1 target, and on a hit it does 2d4 plus 3 bludgeoning. I do like this. I like this a lot. Because, again, it doesn't have the superfluous attack that requires a prone creature. The DC for the strength saving throw feels high enough to go, a giant goat is significantly more of a harder challenge than just a normal goat. Has quite a few more hit points, slightly higher armor class. The charge is good. So on if you charge and then hit with a ram attack, which with plus 5, you've got a decent chance of hitting. You're going to be doing 4d4 plus 3 bludgeoning, which averages out to 13 damage. That's going to hurt a low-level party. Yeah. I would actually use a group of giant goats. I would put them on a random encounter table. Would I put anything else from here on a random encounter table? Maybe a herd of giant elk. Maybe, but probably not a normal elk. I wouldn't put a deer. Probably wouldn't put a goat. Goats are just not... They're not impressive enough. If they were a little bit better, probably. But I put giant goats, maybe giant elk. Yeah. That's actually about all I have to say about a giant goat. I like it. It's a simple stat block. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Monster Manual Backward. Next time we are going to be looking into... Let's see what's next. Looks like we're going to do wolves next week. All the various kinds. That will be quite fun. So make sure you tune into that, which will be next Wednesday, and make sure you tune in to tomorrow to the next episode of The Stolen Land. They're getting close to the end of the exploration that they're going to be doing. Thank you.